Hey everybody, it's Dr. May. How are you today? Well, I wanted to discuss a topic with you called grit. Okay, so grit isn't just the gunk under your fingernails, okay, or something like that. It's actually a personal attribute that we could develop to make us more able to achieve our goals. Okay, especially our personal goals and recovery, and that's the angle I want to focus on today. Okay, so here we go. Working on your recovery with grit. There we go. All right. And just like those big stone structures there, we need a big, internal strength to work on our recovery, right? Because it's not easy. It's definitely a bumpy road sometimes, and there's a lot of challenges, right? So we got to dig deep and get that inner strength, that inner grit going. Okay. So what is grit? Okay. So grit is basically defined as perseverance and passion for our long-term goals. Okay. And this concept is described a lot by a woman named Angela Duckworth, and she has a book called Grit. And she applies it to all different areas of our life. But today, because I'm very recovery motivated, recovery oriented, I want to share exactly how grit could help us in our personal growth and recovery. Okay. So when we're thinking about our personal goals, like what I want for myself to make myself live a life worth living, to live according to my values, to develop goals based on my values, what's that going to take for me? Right. So it involves perseverance, which is persisting in the face of difficulties, and passion. Like I got to want it, right? I got to want it badly enough to keep working through the challenges, right? So that's what grit is kind of about. And they broke down grit into an acronym. So it stands for growth, resiliency, internal strength, and tenacity. So I'm going to break that down for you in the next slides and talk about how we could use that in our personal recovery. Okay. So first, growth, right? So basically, there's something called a growth mindset. So that's the idea that we are always in the process of learning and that we could always get better at something, right? So just because I am the way I am right now, it doesn't mean I'm going to be like that forever. It's knowing that I could continue to grow throughout my life, right? And therefore, if I have a willingness to seek out fresh ideas and perspectives about things that can help me, that helps a lot in my recovery, right? So sometimes we're in this weird rut, right? Where we kind of want to just keep doing the same things we're doing and still get better at the same time, right? It's kind of like I want to keep eating all the fatty, fun foods that I love and still lose weight, right? Like we want our cake and eat it too, so to speak. But to grow, we have to take in new information and be willing to incorporate it, right? So that might be learning new coping skills, such as DBT skills. It might be engaging with a therapist or a therapy group or groups. It might be going to 12-step meetings and learning about those ideologies, learning from other people's experiences and being willing to listen to their advice. It might be reading self-help books and kind of taking in some of those new ideas, or watching videos and learning from other people that are presenting on videos, right? So we have to open our minds to new things in order to create new results. Because if we keep doing the same things, we keep getting the same results, right? So growth, right, is part of grit, right? Next, okay, resilience, okay? We could probably do a few hours worth of talks about resilience. It's a huge topic, right? But we're just gonna cover it today in a nutshell. So basically resilience is like that guy in the pogo stick. It's like bouncing back from difficult times, right? So if you make a mistake, or if you come upon a really difficult situation or something that feels like it's overwhelming you, it's about learning how to grow from it, to learn from it, and to keep moving forward, right? Make it part of the journey. Don't let it end your journey, right? And not letting it bring you down too much, right? Let's look at another metaphor on the bottom left. So if you fall down the stairs, it's about picking yourself up and walking back up the staircase again, right? Don't just stay at the bottom of the stairwell and, give up from there, right? We have to find a way to get ourselves to keep going, right? Inspire ourselves to keep going, okay? And I love the quote to know your limitations and then defy them, right? So instead of letting your limitations really limit you and prevent you from living your best life, try to work through them and help them bring you to that next level, maybe transcending them is the real goal, right? And if I do that, now I'm moving closer to my ultimate goal, my ultimate, you know, and what I'm hoping for in my life, right? Okay, so that bouncing back, really key, all right? Next, when we're working, oh, sorry, this is also related to resilience. I forgot I had this extra slide. So it helps us to be more resilient when we remember that it's not a straight line to recovery. It's not the perfect line of, you know, no obstacles, everything's going in a positive direction all the time, and every step is a step forward, right? So we have to remember that failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of success. That every time I fail at something, quote unquote, or I mess up, or I come across something difficult, I could say, that's actually a great opportunity for me. It's something that is going to teach me something new I never would have learned in any other way, right? I had to go through that problem in order to learn a very valuable lesson, right? And to remember that it's common for everyone to have this success iceberg operating, where just because someone looks like they're doing great on the surface, it doesn't mean that everything's been great for them, right? Maybe they went through a lot of difficult times along the way. There's that part of the iceberg under the surface that maybe not everyone shows, right? So it's not fair to compare our insides or the iceberg under the surface to their outsides, which is the iceberg above the surface, right? So for every success, there's somebody who went through a lot of, you know, maybe challenging experiences, right? So we had to persist, we had to fail, we had to sacrifice, we had to deal with disappointment, right? And that could be hard. We have to develop new habits, which take time, right? We might have been going through life with a lot of negative habits, a lot of problematic behaviors that were adaptations for us. And now we have to find a way to make them different, right? And it takes a lot of hard work to do that, okay? It takes a lot of persistence, like we talked about before, okay? A lot of dedication. So we have to remember that all this stuff is part of it, right? And to validate that it's a common experience and that it's okay if we're going through all those below the iceberg things, okay? So use it to inspire you rather than to hold you back, all right? Okay, so next for the I in grit, internal strength and our instinct, right? So sometimes we feel like we have no strength left, right? Or we feel depleted. And sometimes that's the case. But if we give ourselves time to work that through, we'll rediscover our strength again because it's always buried in there. You know, sometimes the disappointments or the challenges cover it over temporarily and we might feel a little hopeless or we might feel like giving up. But just be with those difficult emotions, let them pass, and then dig your strength back up again. Okay? Sometimes we need other people to help us find our strength or inspire us to get our strength back, but that's okay. All right? Just trust that it's going to reemerge. And if your ultimate goal in life is worth it, then it's worth digging up the strength to go for it. Okay? Instinct, right? It's kind of like we have a natural instinct to want to move toward health, to want to move toward growth, right? We ultimately want to get better. And sometimes we forget about that instinct because we're very frustrated with life, right? But if we uncover some of the difficulties on top of it, we get back to that instinct of wanting to be our best self. Okay? So always remember that it's always in there and you could always find it again. Okay? And we could channel that instinct and use it in the most effective way possible, right? So as you learn, as you grow, and for the G, and get open to new skills and new information, use that with your instinct to make wise decisions about how I could move forward, right? How I could effectively work toward my goals, right? So let's say that turtle discovered that, you know what? It's actually faster to sit on a skateboard than to walk. Wow, that makes my life so much easier. Or the person on the right said, you know what? It's so much easier to push a sphere than a square. Wow, that makes my life a little easier, right? So as we experiment with different types of skills and different types of new routines, we find what works well for us. And we need the strength to go for it and keep doing that and be patient with it, knowing that it's eventually going to get easier for us, right? It's always hard in the beginning. Doing things new is a challenge for everybody. So we have to, be strong enough to work through that and work on those effective strategies that we know will be good for us, okay? Like taking vitamins, right? All right. So T, tenacity, okay? Don't be thrown by the bigger vocabulary word in case it's not a word you use every day, right? But basically it means like to persevere, to not give up even when it's hard, okay? So let's think about these pictures and how tenacity is related to that. So let's say the guy on the left, like Sisyphus, is pushing a boulder up a hill, okay? And it's really hard. You got to keep going. Otherwise, the boulder is going to roll right down and you're going to fall down again. So, how do I keep going, pushing that heavy boulder, even when I want to give up, even when it's getting too heavy, even when I say, just forget about the whole thing, right? How do we use positive self talk, encouraging self talk to keep ourselves going? How do we involve other people to support us to keep us pushing that boulder up the hill? Okay. We got to remember also what's on top of that hill. Maybe there's something amazing that's worth suffering for and struggling for, pushing that boulder up the hill, right? So that's representing our struggle in recovery. I also love the picture on the right. So the never stop trying, because you never know how close you are to actually doing better or feeling better. I heard another metaphor of, like, let's say you have a key ring, right? And it has like 100 keys on it. And it said, don't give up, because you never know if the next key is going to open the lock, right? And in this picture on the bottom right, never give up, because you never know when you're just inches away from the treasure, from the diamonds, right? You might be more close than you think. Even if it feels like it's never going to happen for you, it really might happen for you, right? You really might start to do a little bit better, really might start to make more progress. And we have to open our eyes to the progress that we're actually making. Don't give up on it. Don't just ignore the little things. The little things do count, right? And that helps push us forward. It helps us keep with it when we recognize the things that are starting to happen, right? So never stop trying, okay? All right. And of course, keep your eye on the prize, like the diamonds there, or let's say the beautiful view on top of the mountain. What's that beautiful view of life worth living in your life that you got to keep focusing on, even, and not get too distracted by the obstacles, right? So focus on that reason to keep going, even when it's hard. And of course, just do your best. No one's expecting perfection. I mean, if you're expecting perfection from yourself, whatever that means, it's not a realistic expectation, right? You can only do the best you can do, and then just keep trying, okay? And, sometimes we learn more effective strategies along the way, and then our best is even better, right? But in this moment, we can only do our best, okay? So give yourself credit for the effort, and just keep working on it, knowing that it could always get better, all right? And finally, appreciate the people in your life that are also rooting for you. Hopefully there's people that you can name that are on your side, that want to see you do better, that are rooting for you, that are giving you help and support along the way. So focus on those people in your life rather than the people that might be, less supportive or critical or whatever's going on. Okay. And use their energy to supplement your energy in your goal toward your own personal recovery. Okay. So I hope this helps motivate you. Okay. It's so important. You have to live with yourself your whole life. So make it the best life, right? Use grit to help move you forward to what you really want to do. Okay. And don't give up. All right. Keep going, guys. You can do this. All right. Talk to you soon.